For those people who want to come to the US, this message is for you.
Quran is my life.
If you're already in the US or Canada or UK or one of the developed countries, you can skip this video. But if you are a person who's willing and who wants to come to any of these countries, this message is for you. Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me the opportunity to travel to few countries. And I like to talk to people, right? I like to engage with people, be friendly, talk to them, and have conversation with them. And people ask me, where are you from? Where did you come from? I tell them I came from the US. Many people in many countries, they are dying to come to the US. They are dying to come to the US. I was in Egypt a few years ago, and I was talking to an Egyptian, and he told me that the whole country in Egypt is trying to migrate to the US. Everyone in Egypt is trying to go to the US. This is just a fact. There are many other countries, people in many countries trying to come to the US, but they don't understand the culture and the laws in the US. The culture is different. The culture in the US is different. Many cultures, they beat their kids, right? They spank their kids or they hit their kids. You cannot do that in the US. You cannot hit anyone. You cannot beat anyone. That's assault, that's child abuse, and you will go to jail. In the US, it's okay for a man to marry a man. That might not be acceptable in your culture. In the US, it's okay for a woman to marry a woman. In your culture, that might not be acceptable. You want to come to the US and you want to raise your kids in the US. You know what they're teaching the kids in the US schools these days? They're teaching the children in schools that it is okay for you to be with a man or with a woman. They're teaching the children, the girls, it's okay for you to be with other girl. And they're teaching the boys, it's okay for you to be with another boy. And they're teaching the children, they're reading books to children about a child with two dads. They're trying to instill and put in the children's brain, it is okay to have two fathers in the house. It doesn't have to be a mother or father anymore. It's okay to have two dads. It's okay for a man to be with a man. It's okay for a woman to be with a woman. It's okay if you're not happy being a girl, it's okay for you to be a boy. You can change that. If you're not okay being a boy, it's okay. You can be a girl. They're teaching all these things in schools. These are just some of the things that you have to deal with if you want to come to the US. You have to deal with so many other things as well. Like you might go to the beach or to the store or to the mall and you will see things that is not acceptable in your culture. There's nothing you can do about it. People only look at one thing. They only look at one positive thing, but they don't pay attention to all the negatives. You have to compare. When you look at something, you have to compare. You have to look at the pros and cons. You have to look at the positives and negatives. A person who understands the deen, right, who cares about their deen, the Islamic faith and their religion and everything and their culture and their values, will be content wherever they are, because there are many parents who don't have control of their children in the US. Their kids do whatever they want. They can't do anything about it. They can't say anything. If they do, they'll call the police on them, and the police will come. I remember a while back, there was this Muslim girl. She was in high school and she was deaf. So, and she only had a mom, so she didn't have a dad. And the mom didn't really speak English. She didn't understand the culture, she didn't understand her rights, she didn't understand so many things about the US. And the biggest problem is she didn't speak the language. So the school was working with the child, the deaf child, and everything. After she turned 18, they forced the child to move out of her mom's house. They made all the arrangements for the child to move out of the mom's house and to live alone. And the mom could not do anything about that. This is a rare situation, especially when the person doesn't have the language and the knowledge to communicate and defend and stand up for their rights. And the mom and the daughter, they really didn't communicate because the daughter learned American Sign Language in school. That's all she knows. And she knows how to write in English. The mom doesn't know ASL. She doesn't know the American Sign Language. She doesn't know how to write or read English. So there was this communication problem between them. The school and the teachers and the people at the school, they made arrangements for the child to move out at age 18 and live alone by herself. She has the option to do that, but she doesn't have to do that. She could have still lived with her mom. These are just some of the things that people deal with. And there is a law that protects people, right? So if your culture is different from the US and you just care about what things look like in the movies and the nice buildings and the nice cities and the streets and the nice places, don't let that brainwash you. Don't let that brainwash you. Look at all the negative things that will affect your life, that will have an impact in your life. What things your children will be exposed to. What can you do? What can you not do? What are you going to do when the school is trying to teach your children to be with the same gender? What are you going to do? Many people now are facing this problem. And they're complaining and they're filing lawsuits and they're removing the children from the school and everything else. Do your research and compare the pros and cons before you migrate to the US or to the West.